My name is Liana. I'm 31. And I think I've finally done it. I've finally become the villain in my own story. This isn't the kind of thing you admit out loud. Not to your friends. Not even in therapy. But maybe if I just say it here, maybe if I let it out, I can breathe again. I ruined a good thing. Not mine, hers. And I told myself it was for love. I met Caleb at a friend's engagement party 6 years ago. He was dating Mia back then. Sweet, reserved Mia, the kind of girl who looked delicate even when she was angry. The kind of girl who didn't need to fight for attention because she just had it. And I was the opposite. Loud, impulsive. I sparkled too hard, laughed too much, touched his arm a second longer than necessary. We bumped into each other a few more times. You know how that goes. DMs at midnight. Inside jokes. Guilt. Then denial. Then justification. I told myself if he really loved her, I couldn't possibly take him away. But I did. He left her. And after all that chaos and mess, he chose me. And for a while, it felt like proof. Like fate. Like we won. I used to feel like I belonged in his arms. The way he'd grab my waist from behind when I was brushing my teeth. The way he'd kiss my shoulder instead of saying good morning. It was stupid and tender, and it made me feel wanted. Now he kisses me like he's checking a box. His lips linger, but the spark doesn't. We still cuddle, sometimes. Mostly when he's tired. But his arm, I turned to him and asked, "You okay?" He glanced at me, almost confused, and said, "Yeah, I'm fine. Just tired." And he went back to the screen. Like I wasn't even there. Like I was just background noise. That was the moment. That exact breathless second. I felt it deep in my chest, that slow, painful shift. Like a shelf cracking under weight. Like something inside us had finally broken, quiet and invisible, but irreparable. I don't think I even watched the rest of the movie. He held my hand later that night. But it felt performative. Like habit. And I realized the man I stole, the man I believed I'd earned through fire and loyalty and reckless love, was slowly becoming a stranger. And what terrifies me most? I think he knows it too. I think he's just too polite to say it. Or maybe he really doesn't know who I am anymore. And maybe, just maybe, I don't either. Caleb is a trauma nurse, the kind of person who runs toward chaos when everyone else runs from it. He works night shifts, weekends, holidays. He comes home smelling like antiseptic and exhaustion, sometimes still in scrubs stained with blood or coffee, or both. People adore him. He saves lives. He's calm in a storm. And yet, when it comes to us, he shuts down the moment things get messy. Last Thursday, I made spaghetti. Homemade sauce, garlic bread, candles. I wanted it to feel like something. It had been a rough week. He'd worked 3 nights in a row, and I missed him. I missed us. He walked in, tossed his keys on the counter, and kissed the top of my head without looking at me. Then he disappeared into the bathroom. By the time he sat down, the food was already cooling. I tried to make conversation, asked about a patient he'd been worried about. He nodded, but his phone buzzed and he reached for it. "Sorry," he said, reading something. "One of the guys from work." I smiled tight. "Of course." After dinner, I leaned into him on the couch, resting my head on his chest. He pulled me closer. His hand slid under my shirt. Familiar. Automatic. I froze. It wasn't that I didn't want him, God, I did. But it felt disconnected. Like he was skipping over all the parts of me I needed him to see. The ones that were aching. The ones screaming. I gently took his hand and placed it on my leg instead. "Can we just stay like this for a bit?" He looked confused, almost hurt. "Did I do something wrong?" "No," I said quickly. "I'm just tired." He pulled away a little, his body stiffening. "Okay, whatever." And just like that, we were strangers in the same room again. The next morning, I found him folding laundry. A little thing, but still, a thing. He'd even separated the whites. "I'm sorry about last night," I said, sitting beside the bed. "I wasn't trying to push you away." He shrugged. "It's fine." "It's not." I paused. "Sometimes it feels like you're trying to connect with me in ways I'm not ready for. Not until I feel close to you emotionally." I need that first. He sighed and sat on the edge of the bed. Liana, I come home, I hold you, I touch you, I try, and then you pull away. I don't know what you want anymore. I bit the inside of my cheek. I want to feel like I'm still your person. Not just your girlfriend. Not just someone to kiss before bed. I do kiss you before bed. But it feels empty. He blinked like I'd slapped him. Silence sat between us, heavy. Then, finally, he stood up and grabbed his jacket. I need to clear my head. I'll be back. He didn't slam the door. He never does. He's too calm for that. But the quiet click felt louder than a scream. It's wild how you can be touched every day by someone and still feel completely untouched. He thinks love means showing up physically. And I used to think that was enough, too. But now I'm starting to believe that touch without understanding is just noise. And lately, all I hear is static. It started with a hand on my lower back. I was washing dishes mindlessly because that's how I do everything these days. Drown in soap and repetition so I don't have to think. Caleb came up behind me. His hands were warm, steady. He slid one over my waist, pulling me slightly toward him, his lips brushing the back of my neck. Dinner was good, he murmured. You taste better, though. He said it playfully, affectionately. But I tensed. Not because I didn't like being touched, I used to love it. God, I craved it. But now, every time he reached for me, it felt like it was only leading to one thing. And I didn't know how to say that without making him feel unwanted. So instead, I stiffened. Just slightly. Enough for him to notice. He pulled back. You okay? He asked. I forced a smile. Yeah, just tired. You've been tired a lot lately. I've had work, Caleb. I know. I'm not blaming you. He hesitated. We don't touch like we used to. I dried my hands too fast and turned to face him. You think touching me more will fix this? No. I think not touching at all makes it worse. His voice was calm, like always. Reasonable. Gentle. And it infuriated me. You think sex is the glue here? I asked, trying not to sound bitter. Because that's how it feels lately. Like it's the only way you know how to connect. That's not fair, he said, his brow creasing. I kiss you, I hold you, I cook for you sometimes, you slap my ass when I'm brushing my teeth, I snapped. You kiss me during commercials. You grab me at night and expect me to just flip on like a switch. He looked stunned. Then quiet. I'm sorry, he said, finally. I thought you liked when I did those things. I used to, I whispered. I don't know what happened. That night, we tried to move past it. He reached for my hand while we watched TV. I let him hold it. Then he leaned in and kissed me soft, patient, like he was trying to remind me of something we'd forgotten. I kissed him back. But halfway through, my mind wandered. I thought about the emails I hadn't replied to. The load of laundry still in the dryer. How his lips felt exactly the same as they did last week and the week before, but somehow less. I pulled away gently, pretending to adjust the blanket. He didn't say anything. Just looked at me for a second too long, then turned back to the screen. I stared at his profile, the sharp lines of his jaw, the way his mouth held tension even when he was silent, and I felt a pang of guilt. Of confusion. Of loss. How had I fought so hard for this man, only to end up feeling this distant? Later, in bed, he wrapped an arm around me, pulling me in close. I felt the shift in his breath, the way his hand moved lower. His touch was gentle, familiar. And yet, my stomach tightened. I didn't move. I didn't lean in. I wanted to want it. But all I could think about was how much pressure there was in his fingertips. How every gesture now felt like a countdown to something expected. I turned my face into the pillow, pretending to drift off. He kissed my shoulder, lingering for a moment. Then he sighed and rolled over, his back to me. In the dark, I stared at the ceiling, my chest hollow. Why does everything have to turn into sex? It was supposed to be a nice night. I'd made an effort, real effort. I put on a dress I hadn't worn in months, the navy one Caleb used to say made my eyes look like storms. I even wore perfume, curled my hair. We hadn't gone out in weeks, and I thought, maybe if I looked like the woman he first fell for, I'd feel like her again too. He picked the restaurant. Italian. Dim lighting, small tables too close together. We sat across from each other, hands folded around menus we barely glanced at. I'm glad we're doing this, Caleb said, breaking the silence. It's been a while. Yeah, I nodded, smiling tightly. It has. He reached across the table, brushing his fingers over mine. You look beautiful, by the way. Thanks. It should have felt good. But it didn't. It felt like I was playing a part in a scene we'd rehearsed too many times, and neither of us remembered why it mattered. We ordered. We chatted about work. I asked about a new nurse at the hospital. He talked about a kid they'd stabilized after a car crash. It was fine. Normal. But underneath it all, I felt this low buzz of discomfort. Like we were dodging something huge that neither of us had the courage to name. Then the waiter brought out dessert. A single tiramisu with 2 forks, because Caleb always said I only ever took 2 bites and left the rest for him. He scooped the first bite, held it up toward me with a grin. Come on, he said. It's tradition. I hesitated. That one gesture, it was sweet. Thoughtful. But something inside me buckled. Because in that second, I saw it all for what it really was, a performance. A memory he was trying to recreate. A routine that no longer belonged to us. I'm not hungry, I muttered, pushing the plate slightly. His smile faded. Liana, I said I'm not hungry. He lowered the spoon. I'm trying here. Are you? Because it feels like you're trying to fix me. Like if you just do all the right things, I'll snap back into being the girl you left me for. His brow furrowed. Why are you bringing her up? Because I think about her all the time, I blurted. I think about how I wrecked her life, and for what, Caleb? For us to sit across a table pretending we're still in love. His jaw tensed. That's not fair. No, I said, my voice cracking. What's not fair is feeling like I sold my soul to get this life, this relationship, and now I barely recognize the person I became in it. People were staring. I could feel it, heat crawling up my neck, tears burning in the corners of my eyes. Caleb looked stunned, blinking slowly like he couldn't believe this was happening in public. You said I was the one, I whispered, the lump in my throat threatening to choke me. You said you knew me better than anyone. His voice was quiet. I don't even know who you are anymore. Silence. That sentence, that exact sentence, landed like a slap across the chest. We didn't finish dessert. We didn't even finish the meal. The car ride home was wordless. Cold. When we got inside, I went straight to the bathroom and locked the door. I slid down the tile wall, buried my face in my hands, and sobbed. What did I just do? Why did I say all that? I had wanted closeness. Honesty. Something real. But all I gave him was a meltdown dressed in mascara and blame. I thought confronting the truth would bring clarity. Instead, all I felt was shame. And underneath it all, the same bitter, aching question I still couldn't answer. What if I ruined everything, not just then, but now too? It's been 12 days since the restaurant. 12 days since I threw our mess on the table like a broken dish and dared him to look at it. And now we live around each other like ghosts in a shared space. He still makes coffee in the mornings, 1 cup black, 1 cup with almond milk, just like always. But he doesn't leave mine by the sink anymore. He just sets it quietly on the counter, without a word, and walks away. Some days, I catch him looking at me when he thinks I'm not paying attention, not angry, not annoyed. Just tired. And that hurts the most. Because I can handle fury. I can't handle indifference. We barely touch. No kisses, no casual brushes of his hand on my arm, no pulling me into him while I fold laundry. I miss the way he used to squeeze my knee under the table at dinner, or the way he'd tap my foot under the sheets when we were too tired to talk, but didn't want to feel alone. And now? Now I don't even know if we sleep facing the same direction anymore. We're just 2 bodies in the dark, chasing warmth we don't know how to ask for. Yesterday, I found him sitting on the floor in the hallway, leaning against the wall with his eyes closed. No TV, no music. Just silence. I stood there for a second, watching him from the kitchen. Something in me clenched, this strange combination of grief and guilt and want. He looked so much like the man I fell for. The one who bandaged wounds at work and tried to make me laugh when I cried over stupid things like burnt toast or reruns of This Is Us. But he wasn't laughing now. He looked like someone who was mourning something that hadn't even died yet. And maybe that was the worst part, that we were still here, still technically together, and yet everything felt like it had ended already. Later that night, I sat on the edge of the bed, watching him change into sweatpants. The distance between us wasn't measured in inches. It was in the things left unsaid. The questions I didn't ask. The apologies I didn't give. "Caleb," I whispered. He didn't look at me, just kept folding his jeans. "I miss you," I added, quieter this time. He paused, hands frozen mid-fold. Then he set the jeans down on the chair and turned to me. His eyes were soft. Not angry. Not cold. Just tired. "I miss you too," he said. "But I don't know how to reach you anymore. I feel like everything I do is wrong." "I know," I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. "And I think I pushed you away because I didn't know how to let you love me the way I needed." He didn't say anything for a while. Then he sat beside me, close enough to feel his warmth, but not touching. "We've both been hurting," he said simply. "We just keep choosing silence over each other." I wanted to reach for his hand. I wanted to apologize for more than just the restaurant, for the months of drifting, the emotional walls, the way I turned physical affection into an accusation. But I didn't. Not yet. Because I still didn't know what came next. That night, lying awake, I stared at the ceiling, fingers curled in the sheets like a lifeline. Did I want to try again? Or had we already unraveled too far? I closed my eyes and pictured him laughing years ago, during one of our first late-night walks. Before the guilt. Before the doubt. When we still believed we were different. And in that fragile, flickering memory, I found my answer. I still wanted us. But I didn't know if that was enough. On a rainy Sunday morning, he made pancakes. I came into the kitchen, still in the oversized hoodie I stole from him years ago, and the smell hit me: vanilla, butter, something warm and nostalgic. He didn't say much. Just slid a plate toward me and sat down across the table with his own. It felt familiar. We ate in silence for a few minutes, both of us pretending to be casual, like this wasn't the first shared breakfast in over a week where the air wasn't sharp with tension. Then, halfway through my second pancake, I looked up and said, "We can't keep pretending nothing's broken." He didn't flinch. Didn't look surprised. Just set down his fork and gave me the softest nod. "I know," he said. "I've known." We moved to the couch. No distractions. No screens. Just the sound of the rain hitting the windows like it had something to say. "I think I kept trying to fix us with touch," he started. "Because I didn't know what else to offer. It always worked before." "It used to," I whispered. "But I needed more. I just didn't know how to ask for it without making you feel like a failure." "I already felt like one," he admitted. "You stopped looking at me like I was yours." I blinked. That sentence lodged itself in my chest like a needle. "I never stopped," I said quietly. "I just started questioning if I ever really had you to begin with. If we were built on something real, or if we were just built on guilt." Caleb leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "I think about her sometimes," he said carefully. "Mia. Not because I miss her, but because I wonder if what we did, if how we started, cursed us from the beginning." It was the first time either of us had said her name in months. I didn't argue. I couldn't. The truth was too heavy to deny. Then he said something I wasn't ready for. "I don't think I'm in love with you anymore." Not cruelly. Not to hurt me. Just truth, laid bare like open skin. I nodded slowly. It felt like breathing underwater, painful, weightless, surreal. "I think I stopped letting you know me," I confessed. "And I think you stopped wanting to try." He looked at me then, really looked at me, and for the first time in a long time, I saw the boyish ache behind his tired eyes. The man I fought so hard for. The one I lost right in front of me, little by little. When the rain got heavier, he pulled the blanket off the couch and sat beside me. Not too close, but close enough that I felt the warmth of him. That old, steady warmth I once mistook for forever. We sat like that for almost an hour. No words. No touching. Just the soft hum of something ending, or maybe just changing. Eventually, he pressed a kiss to the side of my head. Light. Reverent. Like he was saying goodbye to something only he could see. "I'll sleep on the couch tonight," he said. I didn't stop him. In the middle of the night, I got up for water. I passed by the living room and paused. Caleb was curled up under the blanket, facing the backrest. One arm tucked beneath his head, the other gripping a pillow like it meant something. I stood there, watching him sleep, and all I could feel was this deep, hollow ache. Not just for him, but for the version of me I'd lost in all of this. We had loved each other. Fiercely. Desperately. But sometimes, even love that strong can't survive the rot beneath its roots. And maybe that was the truth we both finally stopped running from. You know, when I first met Caleb, I thought love was something you win. Like a prize. I thought if I wanted him enough, if I tried hard enough, if I fought, then I'd be the exception. The one who got everything she wanted, even if it meant stepping over someone else's heartbreak to get it. I told myself I was brave, passionate, real. But looking back now, I think I was just scared. Scared of not being chosen. Scared of being ordinary. Scared of watching someone love someone else when I knew I could love them harder. And for a while, it worked. He did choose me. He left her. We built a life together. But what no one tells you is that sometimes, winning doesn't feel like winning. Sometimes it feels like holding something too tightly until it withers in your hands. I spent years believing desire was enough. That physical closeness meant emotional intimacy. That kissing and touching and sleeping in the same bed was proof we were still okay. But when the touching started to feel like pressure, when the kisses stopped meaning anything, I realized I'd been measuring connection with the wrong ruler. The truth is, I never really asked Caleb what he needed. And when he tried to show me through his routines, his steadiness, his quiet kind of affection, I misunderstood it. I wanted grand gestures. Fireworks. But he was handing me matches and expecting me to light them myself. I think we both felt unseen in the end. And we both resented each other for it. And you know what hurts the most? It wasn't just the loss of him. It was the loss of me. Somewhere between being the woman who got the guy and being the woman afraid to touch him. I disappeared. I stopped saying what I needed. I stopped being soft. I stopped letting myself be vulnerable. Because somewhere deep down, I still thought I didn't deserve this love. That maybe I had stolen something that was never meant to be mine, and that it would slip through my fingers eventually. And maybe it did. Maybe it had to. Caleb and I still live in the same apartment. For now, we talk. About groceries. Bills. Sometimes about the dog we said we'd get, and now probably won't. We're not angry anymore. Just quiet. Careful. And I don't hate him for it. I don't even hate myself, not fully. Because I've learned something I didn't know back then, that desire without emotional safety is just noise. That love isn't what you steal, it's what you build. And if it's built on guilt or fantasy or unfinished grief, it will crumble the second real life shows up at the door. I thought I wanted a love story. But what I really needed was a home. And I think next time, if there is a next time, I'll build it differently. With honesty. With patience. With the kind of touch that doesn't ask for anything in return. I don't know if Caleb and I are over. Not yet. But I do know I'm finally starting to see myself again. And maybe that's the real ending. Or the beginning. Whatever it is, it's mine. And this time, I don't want to win. I just want to be known. E1.